Hi, my name is Sarah Johnson, and today I'm going to be talking about the timing of protein intake and how that affects muscle protein synthesis. So the outline today is that I'm going to explain why I chose this topic and then go over my hypothesis, the three main studies that I focused on, and then the summary and the conclusion, and then questions. So I chose this topic because the Texas A&M athletic department requires its athletes to consume 20 grams of protein within 30 minutes of their daily exercise. So this is a strategy that is a bit controversial between sports dietitians, and there's just arguments on both sides of whether this is effective or whether it's not. So I just wanted to look at the research and see what we could find out about that. So my hypothesis is that the timing of protein consumption does not affect muscle protein synthesis. So the objective of study 1 was to assess the benefit of timed protein supplementation on the increase in muscle mass and strength during prolonged resistance type exercise training in healthy elderly men who regularly consumed an adequate amount of protein. So healthy elderly men between the age of 70 and 74 were selected to participate in this study and randomly assigned to either the placebo group or the protein group. So they all participated in a 12-week resistance type exercise program where the protein group was provided with a protein supplement before and after each exercise, and the placebo was not. So they also did a 1 rep max test regularly to ensure that there was equal workload being exerted between applicants, just to rule out any external factors relating to strength. And then they also assessed the muscle hypertrophy at the whole body level with the dual energy X-ray absorptiometry, and then they assessed limbs individually with the computed tomography, and then muscle fiber individually just by their biopsy, like taking muscle fiber and looking at how big it is. And then, so the results of study 1 were that the strength increased approximately 25 to 30% across all participants, so placebo and protein group. And the dual X-ray absorptiometry and computed tomography scans showed similar increases in leg muscle mass between each group. So no significant difference in the protein group versus the placebo group. This is a chart I made just comparing the amount of total calories consumed before and after for the placebo group versus the protein group, and then what % of that was protein. And so the conclusion of study 1 is that timed protein supplementation immediately before and after exercise does not further augment the increase in skeletal muscle mass and strength after prolonged resistance type exercise training in healthy elderly men who habitually consume adequate amounts of protein. So the objective of study 2 was to investigate interventions that may counteract and prevent age-associated deteriorations of the musculoskeletal system in women. So the design of the study is that they got 29 women who are early postmenopausal, so they've gone through menopause, but they are close to that marker. And so these women completed a 24-week resistance style exercise training program, and all the women were on a weight-maintaining diet during the duration of the study, and they refrained from taking any medication and maintained their normal daily physical activity. And so the protein group received 10 grams of whey protein, 31 grams of carbohydrate, 1 gram of fat, etc. And then the placebo group basically didn't receive that protein and also received less carbohydrates. So the results of study 2 are that the body fat mass determined by DEXA scans was unchanged in both groups, whereas in the nutrient group, which is the protein group, only the lean body mass increased significantly from 42.3 plus or minus 1.4 to 43.1 plus or minus 1.4 kilograms. So they did see an increase in lean body mass in the nutrient group, which is the group consuming protein. And this is a chart from the study. So the conclusion of study 2 is there was small but statistically significant additive effect on muscle mass and strength gains for the group consuming protein. And then they recommended that resistance training individuals ingest a supplement containing protein immediately after exercise. So study 3, the objective was to understand the impact of carbohydrate and protein hydrolysate supplementation on muscle protein synthesis during exercise performed in the evening and subsequent overnight recovery. So they chose 20 healthy young men between the ages of 20 and 22 years old. They all had a standard diet they consumed daily, and then in the evenings, all participants participated in the same 2-hour resistance style workout where the placebo group received water and the protein group received a protein and carbohydrate supplement. And plasma samples were collected every 15 minutes during exercise and every 30 minutes during the first 2 hours of recovery after exercise, and then every hour overnight during sleep. So they measured plasma very frequently. And then muscle biopsies from the vastus lateralis muscles were taken before and immediately after exercise. So they were able to directly compare the before and immediately after exercise muscle biopsies in each of these individuals. And then they also took a muscle biopsy after like 9 hours later. So after they had slept through the night, they took another sample of muscle biopsy. So the results of study 3 are that whole body protein synthesis rates were higher in the carbohydrate and protein group compared to the water group during exercise recovery and throughout the entire experimental period. So this, we can see the water group versus the carbohydrate and protein group and see like the whole body protein synthesis during exercise, during recovery, and then total. And so the conclusion for study 3 is that even in the fed state, supplementation with carbohydrate and protein hydrolysate elevates muscle protein synthesis during exercise, but does not further augment muscle protein synthesis over the subsequent recovery period. So we didn't see a significant change after sleeping through the night during that recovery period, but we did see a significant change before and after exercise. So the summary from these studies is that there is a relationship between protein intake and muscle protein synthesis. We are sure about that. The research is inconclusive on the relationship between protein timing and muscle protein synthesis. And then if you consume adequate protein in 24-hour period, this should be sufficient. And then there are no consequences or negative outcomes of consuming protein immediately before or after a workout. So that would apply to all the athletic facilities having their athletes consume protein before, during, or after a workout. We have seen no negative consequence of doing any of that. So the overall conclusion is that if you are consuming adequate protein over a 24-hour period, the timing is insignificant. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.